instead of silver. These oddities have sold for thousands. Even more astonishing are dimes struck on foreign coin planchets. In the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint was still producing coins for other countries, and mix-ups occasionally happened. A dime struck on a foreign blank is one of the most thrilling discoveries you could hope to find in change. And here's a practical tip: weigh your 1,998 dimes. If the number isn't close to 2.27 grams, you may have stumbled upon something extraordinary. Now, let's talk about a special twist for 1998. That year sits just before the 50-state quarters program began in 1999. The Mint was under enormous pressure to modernize equipment and prepare for striking billions of new quarter designs. That transition period saw heavy use of the coin presses, and with that came quality control slips. In other words, 1998 is a year collectors often search closely, because mistakes were more likely to escape unnoticed. Among the varieties, double dies are worth checking for. A strong double die will show extra outlines in Liberty or In God We Trust. Sometimes the reverse torch and branches show the doubling. While not every 1998 double die is valuable, the strongest examples can fetch solid premiums from collectors who specialize in die varieties. Another subtle collectible from 1998 is the repunched mint mark. Although mint marks were applied with more advanced techniques by then, faint shifts or doubling of the P or D have been recorded. They're not always high-dollar items, but they add depth to any Roosevelt dime collection. And let's not forget proof coins. In 1998, the San Francisco Mint struck proof dimes in both standard clad and in silver for proof sets. The silver proof dimes, similar to the full bands designation on Mercury dimes. To earn the full torch label, the horizontal lines at the top and bottom of the torch on the reverse must be fully struck and visible. For 1998 dimes, especially from Philadelphia, that sharp strike is elusive. And because collectors chase that full torch designation, coins with it often sell for multiples of their normal value. All of this leads us to a simple truth. The 1998 dime is a coin most people will never think twice about. But for collectors, it's a playground of possibilities: pristine high grades, striking errors, unusual planchets, and proof issues that shine like mirrors. Think about it: a coin worth 10 cents can suddenly become a $1,000 treasure, all depending on a tiny detail that most eyes miss. And that's what makes collecting so addictive. Maybe the most exciting part? Many of these rare dimes are still out there. Tucked in jars, sitting in old wallets, hidden in change rolls. Waiting for someone with curiosity and patience to spot them. So if you're handling a 1998 dime, here's what to do. First, check its condition. Is it unusually sharp, with no wear? Next, examine the torch. Are all the lines crisp? That could mean you're looking at a full torch example. Then, weigh it. If the weight isn't right, you might have a wrong planchet error. And finally, take a magnifier to those letters, look for doubling or unusual mint marks. Most dimes you'll find from 1998 are worth exactly 10 cents. But every once in a while, one tells a different story, a story of rarity, of error, or of survival against the odds. And that's where value is born. So don't underestimate this little coin. The Roosevelt dime from 1998 may look ordinary, but it carries the thrill of possibility. And who knows, the next one you check just might surprise you. Because in the end, that's what makes numismatics so rewarding: the chance that history, mystery, and value are all hiding in plain sight, in something as small and simple as a dime. Most people will tell you the Roosevelt dime from 1998 isn't worth anything more than 10 cents. After all, more than 2 billion were struck that year between Philadelphia and Denver. With numbers like that, how could one be special? But that's where the myth begins. Because buried among those billions are rare survivors, oddities, and mistakes that tell a story no ordinary dime could. And in some cases, the right 1998 dime has sold for hundreds, even into the thousands. Let's unravel that story together. The year was 1998. Bill Clinton was president, gasoline was just over $1 a gallon, and the U.S. Mint was running full steam ahead. For the dime, the Roosevelt design had been unchanged since 1946. Franklin Roosevelt's portrait still looked back at us, while the torch, olive branch, and oak branch still stood tall on the reverse. By then, most collectors considered the Roosevelt dime a workhorse, practical, but ordinary. No silver was used in circulation strikes, just the copper-nickel clad composition introduced back in 1965. Nothing flashy, nothing new. But here's the first twist: some of the most valuable coins in numismatics aren't the rarest designs. They're the ordinary designs that survived in extraordinary ways. And in 1998, that rule held true. The first category worth mentioning is condition rarity. With such a massive mintage, 1.16 billion from Philadelphia and 1.17 billion from Denver, quality control wasn't perfect. Most coins went straight into commerce, where they were scraped, nicked, and worn almost immediately. Finding a 1998 dime in average circulated condition is easy. But finding one in pristine mint state 68? That's like hunting for a needle in a haystack. And collectors know it. A 1998 P dime graded MS68 full torch, meaning the lines of the torch on the reverse are sharply defined, has fetched prices over $1,000 at auction. Not because of an error, but simply because surviving in flawless condition is nearly impossible. Now, let's shift gears. Errors. This is where 1998 dimes truly come alive. Imagine pulling a dime from circulation where Roosevelt's face isn't centered at all, the design shifted sharply to the left, leaving a crescent of blank metal on one edge. That's an off-center strike, and 1998 produced some bold ones. Depending on how dramatic the shift is, collectors will pay anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Or picture this: a dime with two impressions of Roosevelt's head, slightly overlapped. That's a double strike. It looks like a ghostly shadow trailing the president's portrait. Errors like this from 1998 are rare, and when they're clear and dramatic, prices can climb into the high hundreds. But the rarest mistakes often involve the planchets, the blank pieces of metal that coins are struck on. A standard dime should weigh 2.27 grams and be struck on a copper-nickel clad planchet. But every now and then, a blank meant for another coin slips into the presses. That's how you get 1998 dimes struck on copper-cent planchets, weighing only 3.11 grams, and with a reddish hue instead of silver. These oddities have sold for thousands. Even more astonishing are dimes struck on foreign coin planchets. In the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint was still producing coins for other countries, and mix-ups occasionally happened. A dime struck on a foreign blank is one of the most thrilling discoveries you could hope to find in change. And here's a practical tip: weigh your 1,998 dimes. If the number isn't close to 2.27 grams, you may have stumbled upon something extraordinary. Now, let's talk about a special twist for 1998. That year sits just before the 50-state quarters program began. In these, double dies are worth checking for. A strong double die will show extra outlines in Liberty or In God We Trust. Sometimes